Hello everybody and welcome back for episode 30 of the Doll Symposium. As always, I am your host, Shizusan, and my beautiful assistant is my very lovely Kano. So, without further ado, let's get today's episode started, shall we? Alright, so for today's episode, it might be interesting, to say the least. A couple of things. One, there's some good news this week for certain things, and there's some disappointing news for other things this week. Also, I've been having a really bad week rather at work. I'm just very, very tired, and today it just took a lot out of me to get ready for today's episode, because not only am I tired from work, like had a lot of issues this week, it was just real rough, but in the doll world, there has also been an issue that has left me perplexed, so to speak, or depressed in a way. And we'll talk about it a little bit. I don't want to reiterate things that have already been said by many, many people, but when we get to it, we get to it. But yeah, I just want to give you that heads up before the episode actually starts. So in case you are somebody that, I don't know, if you're like an individual that is just not in the mood today, or whenever it is that you're watching this video to, I don't know, I guess be offended, or if you're just having a bad day like me, maybe today is not the day that you should watch this video, because I'm not here to argue. I'm just saying that there just might be some things that you may not agree with or be upset with, okay? So today's episode is just really, it's going to be a kind of fun but also very difficult episode. Sorry. So please don't watch the rest of this episode if it's something that you don't want to discuss. But if anything, you can turn it off during the last parts of the episode. The first couple minutes, there's nothing wrong. It's all regular stuff. Basically, when we get to Smart Doll News, yeah, it'll be a little sensitive. So, like always, we are going to start with some Dolphy Dream news. So my lovely assistant Kano over here is going to go take her seat in the corner while we start with today's episode. So let's change frames. Alright, so Dolphy Dream News. The Dolphy Dream News is good stuff this week. We got a lot of good information for Dolphy Dream. And basically, that is going to be about the Dolls Party 19 after event. So for most of you that don't know already, Dolls Party 19 has already happened. It was last weekend. A lot of people seem to have had a good time and picked up some really great goodies. So, what's it called? The after event has finally been posted. The special site is up. You can go check it out. Now, it is important to note that this first after event is going to be for Volk's international website. Volk's USA did not post their after event information as of yet. So this is only for Volk's International. So it's going to be August 20th, JST time, Japan Standard Time, is when this is going to take place. And I was wrong at first. Like, I think the first time when I started reviewing the Dolls Party stuff, obviously the special site was not up at that time. So I could only speculate what was going to be available based upon the item descriptions that they listed. And let's just hop into it. So these are all the things that are going to be available that I'm interested in, and I think most of you are already interested in, for Dolls Party 19 after event. We already knew that Megumin was going to be in there for that event, and the Hatsune Miku outfit was also going to be in that event. The bears we knew, but this is the one that we didn't know, was the Shirokuma Shige-chan, the backpack, the slippers, and the hat. Because I believe I said in a previous episode that they will be available at the after event, but then when I started reading the description a little more, it kind of didn't mention that it was going to be in the after event. But now we have confirmation. We have confirmation on the Doll Party 19 after event special site that it is on there. So if you want any of these items, do participate in the after event. Now remember, the after event for Volks International is a click war. So it is not a lottery period. There is no chances of you winning. Well, I guess you could call it a chance of you winning if you are fast with the clickety-clicking on the website. But it's essentially going to be a click war, everybody going for these items. What's it called? So if you want Megumin, if you want Hatsune Miku's outfit, or any of these bear items or bear related items, you're going to have to participate on August 20th for this click war. Good luck to everybody that is looking forward to getting either of these items or more than one of these items. And I hope you all the best during this click war. I mean, there really isn't much you could say about it. It's going to be rough. Especially if you're going for probably Hatsune Miku. I think that's probably going to be the biggest item of this click war for this event, because as much as everybody likes the bear stuff, I'm not saying it won't sell out fast, but I think everyone's pretty much going for the Hatsune Miku. As for Megumin, the Dolphy Dream sister, I think a lot of people will go for that too, but I think there are more Hatsune Miku fans that might be interested in this than actual Megumin fans for Konosuba. I could be wrong. They could equally sell out just as fast as each other, but I'm just speculating the Hatsune Miku one will probably be the one that goes the first. Yeah, so that's it for that. Now the next exciting news that I want to talk about, because that really encompasses everything for Volks International, and that is Volks USA. Volks USA is bringing back Dolly Icon for 2022. So this is going to be a lottery event. The lottery event already started August 1st through August 31st. And to give you an example, these girls... Oh, actually, you know what? Let's start with this picture first, right? The Dolly Icon. For those of you who are not familiar with what Dolly Icon is, we covered it in Beyond the Doll episode 7 last Friday. And I'm, I guess, announcing it officially on the Doll Symposium today in this episode. But basically, Dolly Icon is a project they started right before the pandemic. I believe it was 2018 or 2017, where it's essentially a, I guess you could say, a normal skin, what they call tawny or the tan skin, a mint, which is green, and a lilac, which is purple skin. So you have like fantasy color dolls, except for the normal skin, which they call pearl, I think it is. And we'll look more in depth in the pictures when I move on to the next clip, but I just kind of want to explain. You have those 4 fantasy colors, and when it originally was released, the ball joints on the dolls did not match the fantasy color. So if you had a purple doll, you had, the skin or what they call the flesh tone color on all the ball joints on a purple doll, which didn't match. And that turned off a lot of people. So not many individuals actually purchased Dolly Icon in the beginning. Or actually, I should rephrase that. They did sell out in the beginning because they had a very limited quantity. But it was off-putting for a lot of people that the joints didn't match, even though the dolls themselves were very gorgeous. They were very beautiful. The second part of Dolly Icon is the fact that it has a resin-inspired head. So if you're not familiar with resin dolls, which we did cover in episode 7 of Beyond the Doll last Friday, they have a very unique look to them. Most people would say that they're more of a realistic style kind of look. And as you can tell from this picture that's showing you here, you can definitely see the difference between a regular, I guess, anime styled doll versus the resin style doll. So it's like kind of like a really cool selling point where you get the best of both worlds. You would have the vinyl body with the internal skeleton for posability, but then with the aesthetics of a resin doll head onto that body. And then the third thing, actually, I think there's 3 things, not 2 things. The third thing is that all the bodies have like a shimmer to them. I don't know, I forgot what they call it, like a pearlescent body or something like that, where it didn't matter what color you got. I think all the colors had a pearlescent glow to them, or think like metallic paint, like on a car, like it has like some shimmer to it. I think they all have it except for the tawny, which is the tan skin color. So just to show you the differences, this one on the left is going to be the one with the, I think the pearl, I think they call it the pearl color, which is more of like a fleshy skin tone. And then the one on the right was the tawny skin tone, which is the tan skin tone color. This is the one that doesn't have the pearlescent skin. Now, you can't see it in the photos, but in person, I'm told it's pretty noticeable, like the pearlescent skin tone. And then the other ones they have, this is mint and lilac, which is your green and your purple. Now, this is a lottery event, so you can enter in from August 1st through August 31st to enter into the lottery. Now, it is important to note that this is pretty much prevalent across all the board, whether you're doing Volks USA or Volks International lottery events, is that please enter for the lottery that you really want to buy and that you have money for. Because the warning is that if you wanted a chance at getting any of these dolls, like let's say you're like, oh, there's 8 different dolls available, and if I only put in for the one I really want, which is just one of the 8, okay, my chances of winning that is whatever, 1 out of how many people enter the lottery, right? But if you put in for all of them, right, your chances of winning any of them becomes higher. It's 8 chances out of how many other people are applying, right? The problem is, if you win all 8 times, which is highly unlikely, but if you were to win 8 times or even 4 times or whatever for these dolls, you have to purchase them. Or should I say you should purchase them is the right way to phrase it. Because if you cancel that order, because let's say you won a green, and then you won the purple, but you didn't want the green, you wanted the purple. Or you wanted the purple, but you didn't want the green. Whatever it may be. So you cancel one. Or you only have money to buy one of them, right? But you won 3. So you canceled 2 and you only bought the 1. In the doll community, at least for Volks, I can't really speak on behalf of any other doll company, but this is what I know, is that at least from Volks, it is looked down upon, so to speak, to cancel your win if you won. And there is a high likelihood that you might get banned from purchasing on the site or banned from entering lotteries in the future. I'm not saying it's guaranteed to happen. I'm just saying it's happened in the past. And obviously not everybody that gets banned like goes on a rant or whatever and post it on social media or forums. I mean, there could have been a couple people that got banned and they just said, screw it, I'm not part of the hobby anymore. I don't want to do this anymore. And they just didn't post anything. So it's only through word of mouth. But the general idea or the general rule of thumb that's kind of understood through most collectors when it comes to Volks is that if you win a lottery, buy the lottery, or else there's a possibility you'll get banned from their website, at least for participating in future lotteries. I don't know if you're just banned overall from just purchasing from the site, but just be aware that it is possible. I'm not saying it's guaranteed. I'm not saying it's definitely going to happen. I'm just saying it is a possibility that you could be banned from Volks if you win a lottery and then decline it. Even if it's for a legitimate reason. Like, let's say you just put in for one doll and you just happen to win the one doll you want and you really want that doll. But times are tough. Let's say you lost your job or you're financially, in some kind of a trouble or whatever. And, whatever reasons it may be. And then you end up canceling your lottery win. Just be aware that, I can't speak for Volks, but the fact that you just canceled, I don't know if you could send them an email, be like, hey, I had financial troubles and I can't do it, blah, blah, and you try to plead your situation. I don't know anything about that. Maybe you could try. I don't know. All I'm saying is that rule of thumb, through word of mouth, nothing official from Volks, just from word of mouth, is if you win a lottery, do make sure you purchase that lottery because there's a possibility you may get banned. Again, it's not definite, but it's a maybe. It's possible. I've heard from some people that it's happened to them. And, I don't know if it's happened to everybody that's canceled the lottery before. I only know from what I've heard. So just be aware of that. Be mindful on how many times you enter for this lottery. If you enter for all 8 dolls or whatever, and you can afford all 8 dolls, more power to you. But if you enter for 8 and you win 6 and you can only afford 2, just be warned. It's a possibility that, may happen. On a more lighter side, to make things a little bit more happier, I guess you could say, is that normally what I think is very interesting is that when Volks has limited edition items or very special items, it's usually only released in Japan, either through having to buy it in their stores only, like Dream Choice or D-Cord models or things like that. And it usually doesn't come stateside. You usually have to get a proxy service to, help you get those items from Japan. What I think is really interesting is that Dolly Icon is actually a Volks USA exclusive. I think the Japanese community were a little bit of an uproar about that, and Dolly Icon was released in a small lottery in the Volks International website for international buyers outside of the US, and that only happened once, whereas Dolly Icon has been released, I think, 3 separate occasions on Volks USA, and this being the 4th occasion now. I made a mistake with a real big boo-boo. I should have told you. They improved the Dolly Icon this year, where the ball joints do match. As you can see in this picture here, the purple and the green ball joints match the skin tone of the doll. So it's a very big change from the first 3 releases where the ball joints didn't match in color, and it was very off-putting for people. So now the fact that the ball joints match, there's going to be a lot larger influx of people that really wanted these dolls in the first place that are now actually going to try and get them. So these dolls will be very hard to get. This lottery is going to be very difficult for some of you, even myself included, because I wasn't a fan of the mismatched color joints. Now that the joints are colored, I am going to be participating in this lottery as well. So good luck to you. Hopefully you'll say good luck to me as well. No hard feelings, whoever wins or loses. I mean, it is a lottery event, so I'm really hoping that I'll win the girls that I want to win. I'm very excited for this event. But that's not to say that prior owners don't get a shot at this, which is going to go to my next point. So before I get to that, just make sure, as a last reminder, August 1st, which already started, to August 31st, is the lottery period to enter for these dolls. I believe there's 8 of them, if not 7 of them. They're about $850, I think it is, each one. Obviously, that's not including shipping. Yeah, and the ball joints match, which is super cool. So please just be mindful of the lottery, okay? And good luck to all of you that are participating in this. This is going to be a very big event for Volks USA. Now, the next part that I was talking about pre-existing Dolly Icon owners, Volks USA is also having the Dolly Icon base body pre-order campaign. Now, this didn't start yet. This is actually going to start on August 8th through August 31st. Generally, what this is basically if you're a Dolphy Dream Icon owner, all right, so you won the lottery event in either 1 or 2 or 3 of the last lotteries that happened for Dolphy Icon, where the ball joints did not match the skin tone color of the doll. If you are a winner of that and you own that Dolphy Dream Icon, you are eligible to pre-order bodies, just the body, so that you can replace it, right? So you can finally get rid of your mismatching color joints and you get like a full new body, new skin tone color, new matching color joints for the green, the purple, the flesh skin tone color, and the tan skin tone color. And the way I'm reading it properly is that it's just the body, right? No head or anything, but it's limited to 2 bodies per person per household. That's how they worded it on their website. So theoretically, I guess you could have you, your sibling, your brother or sister, whoever that may be, your mom and your dad. Let's say that's 4 people in your household, all pre-order 2 bodies. That's like, what, 8 bodies total that's going to be shipped to your house. Now, that could be a flaw. Maybe that's not what they meant by it, but it does say on their website 2 per person per household. So if I'm misunderstanding it, then maybe it means 2 bodies you can pre-order per person, right? And that's only within the household, right? Like per household, as in only one person in that household can pre-order a body, and it's at most 2. Or it could be the other way, that it's 2 bodies per person in the household, per household. So I don't know. You guys let me know in the comments section down below what you think the interpretation of this is. Now, obviously, when August 8th comes around and it actually opens up for people to pre-order, I'm assuming those individuals will have options, when you click through it, like how many bodies, whatever, and they'll be able to figure out at that point, we'll know for sure if it means per person per household or per person in each household. So I don't know. Maybe I'm reading too much into it. Maybe I'm wrong, but the wording is 2 per person per household. Put it down in the comments section down below how you interpret that to be, because I think that's pretty interesting. But that's like a nice, that's a nice thing, because then that means that all the previous owners of Dolly Icon that have the mismatching joints may not participate in the regular lottery to get the whole body, with the head, because all they really need or all they want is just, the new body. So maybe that'll limit the amount of people that are participating. But then again, it could also just be like they want more heads, and bodies, so they're going to participate anyways. So I don't think anything prevents people from participating in the lottery and participating in the pre-order campaign for the base bodies as well. I mean, I don't think anything's stopping that. It doesn't say anything on the website, so to speak. But that's it. That's everything for Volks International and Volks USA news. I think it's very interesting, big news, especially for Volks USA with these Dolly Icons. This is huge. And I think it's going to be a very interesting lottery. There's probably going to be more people participating in this lottery than there were the prior 3 events combined, I'm assuming. Who knows? So let's move on. Azone International. Surprisingly enough, Azone International didn't have much news this week. There wasn't really any new accessories or clothing options that were coming up for pre-order or release. The only thing they had was one particular doll, which is Luluna. So the label... So Azone has a store in different places all over Japan, right? And they're called label shops. So the Akihabara branch, the Akihabara label shop, which is located in the Radio Kaikan building, which I think was the 7th floor, I think it was. I mean, anyways, the label shop in Akihabara is having its 8th anniversary, and the commemorative model just so happens to be Luluna. So Luluna is from the Black Raven series, and she's going to be a 1/3 scale, 48 centimeter doll. Now, they didn't specify on the body. Like I said, I'm still new to Azone. The only thing they said is a 48 centimeter, 1/3 scale Obitsu body. So I'm not really 100% sure. That must be its own body type, since it's specifically saying Obitsu 48 centimeters, which is different than Kano here, because Kano is on the AZ02 body. Now, Obitsu does make the bodies for all the Azone dolls, as far as I know. So I'm not really sure why this one specifically says Obitsu body 48 centimeters instead of just saying the AZ02 48 centimeters, unless they are, for all intents and purposes, 2 separate types of bodies. So I'm still trying to figure that part out. But in case watching this know the difference, then Obitsu 48 centimeter body. An interesting thing to note is that it's also going to be on a large bust, and for this next picture here, the eyes are the traditional or the old school way they used to do Azone products, where the eyes are painted on. So these are not like Kano's eyes, where it's an actual eye chip that you can remove and replace with different colors. Her eyes are actually painted on, and I'm not really sure if you guys can tell from the picture here. I tried to get the best picture that shows a close-up of her face so you can see it, but the eyes are painted on. They're not separate eye chips, so do be wary of that. Now, the pre-order starts August 11th in the stores, and I believe on the Azone website, but that's only for Japanese residents. So if you are wanting to purchase something from Azone, you do have to use a third-party program like World Shopping or Buyee or something like that in order to purchase from Azone. But yeah, it's going to be August 11th until the quantities they have pre-made are sold out. So there is no real end date, but it's just until it's sold out. So essentially, it's their version of a click war. Either you're click warring on the Azone or you're lining up in front of the store on August 11th, to get your dibs on pre-ordering her. Now, once all the pre-orders are done, or even if they didn't finish, the shipping will start for these dolls on August 23rd. So let's say, you were waiting in line at the store or you pre-ordered it on Azone Net, they'll be shipped out regardless of when you pre-ordered it, starting on August 23rd. Now, they may do it in order of when you pre-ordered. Like if you were pre-order number 1, you might have yours shipped out first, versus pre-order 200 will have to wait till the other 199 get shipped out before yours. I'm not entirely sure how Azone does their or conducts their pre-orders and shipping. That's just my estimate. But she's going to cost 46,000 yen. With tax, that includes 50,600 yen, which is going to be below $500. That's going to be like, I think it's like today's conversion, maybe $420. Then you got to include shipping on top of that. And if you're an international buyer and you're using Azone and you're using Buyee or World Shopping Services, you also have to pay their fee also for them getting you the item. So just be aware of that. She's the 8th anniversary commemorative model, Luluna from the Black Raven series. Pre-order start August 11th, either in-store or on Azone. Okay? That's everything for Azone International News this week. Sorry, there really isn't much. I tried to see if I could find more, but she's the only really newly announced item from Azone. Now we come to Smart Doll News. Now, not everything in Smart Doll News this week is going to be depressing. A lot of it's really interesting and really fun. But the last thing I'm going to touch about is the depressing part. So be warned that if you're very sensitive towards things, because it's very hard to label things nowadays. Like, I can't say if you're offended by this or that, because it's really hard to say. Like, a lot of people have different views on things and different outlooks on things, so it's really hard to kind of adjust to every single person in the entire world. Like, we're all different people, we all have different likes and dislikes. So I'm just gonna say, if you're a sensitive individual that may be easily offended, there's a possibility you don't want to watch what's coming next on this video. So I mean, just save yourself the time and effort and just stop watching at this point, because you may not like what you're gonna hear, is all I'm saying. You might not like it. So let's move on. Usually I'm very excited to talk about Smart Doll, and I still am excited, but there's just, okay, let's just move into it. So the first picture up. This is exciting news. This first part is very exciting news. So Danny Chu has posted on here about a drop that happened. Now, this is already come and gone. Unfortunately, this is already over. But he did post on August 3rd that he was releasing new prototype girls in the prototype garage. This is nothing new. He always releases girls in the prototype garage, and they always sell out really fast. What made this interesting is the fact that he's trying out a new form of vinyl casting, where the vinyl body itself is softer than the regular Smart Dolls that you have now. It's, I guess, a different formula he's using for the vinyl, or different baking method. Whatever it is that he's doing, it's an experimental, all soft vinyl body. So some of these girls specifically say in their item description that they will be released on the new experimental soft body. So not all the prototype girls will have it. What's interesting about this soft body is because the body is soft, it's able to be a little bit more flexible. You can see in this picture here on the left that the doll is actually sitting upright. Now, for most of you that are smart doll owners, you already know that it's pretty difficult to get your smart doll, if not impossible, to sit upright, like perfectly perpendicular with the ground. Usually they're kind of leaning back a little bit, and you have to push the bust a little forward to kind of give the illusion that they're sitting up straight. But that's just something because of the way that the torso and the legs were designed, it just wasn't able to move that much. But because now you have the soft body, it can actually move forward where previously the hard shell or the hard vinyl stopped it from moving forward. Now that it's soft and squishy, you can kind of like move it forward and it will just squish into itself so that it can do this pose here. Also, he's saying that it can also do a split. Apparently the doll can do a split like this, which the doll, technically the frame can do now. It's just because the hard vinyl shell on the outside prevents it from doing so. But now with the soft body, it can do that. Now, we have talked in previous episodes about Danny Chu working on a new internal frame. But these girls, just to specify, do not have this new internal frame. He's still working out the bugs with the new frame. They're only this flexible because of the softer vinyl. Now, is it going to be soft vinyl like Kano, my Azone doll? I don't know, because I don't have the money to get any of the prototype girls. They were pretty expensive and out of my price wheel. But for those individuals that are, able to purchase one of these prototype girls and get a soft body vinyl, I'm very curious to see what you have to say about how this vinyl body is. Please, somebody do a review, because I know that some of you out there that are purchasing this doll has a YouTube channel or Instagram page or something where you can post your own review and your thoughts. I'd really like to know. Will the soft body come out for every doll in the future? We don't know. It's experimental right now. So if people like it and there's good feedback and there's more demand for it from the people that actually did purchase it, then who knows? Maybe it'll become the future staple. But for right now, it's experimental. I just thought it was really interesting and important to note. Next up. So this is some photos coming up of, Danny Chu usually likes to post like what's going on in Smart Doll Land and things like that. So this is a prototype shirt. We don't know the name of the shirt, but I think this is really cool looking. It kind of has this piratey vibe, obviously because of the strings and everything. Like, arr, it kind of reminds me like a pirate style top. Or you could think of it as a fantasy top or maybe even steampunk, things like that. But I think so far it looks cool. Obviously, we don't know what the color of the top is going to be because these are just prototype mock-ups. But I like the fact that it has like this corset lacy kind of thing in the front. It's very sexy. It looks really cool. I can't wait to see the final product, see what it looks like, because I think it's pretty awesome. Of course, prototype, no ETA, people. Now, next up. This is cool. So Danny Chu has posted this picture here, which is he's working on a prototype, what he's calling a Victorian and cyberpunk inspired dress. I think this looks really cool. It also looks like it'll be really expensive too when it's finally released. Like all his normal stuff, like when you get a full outfit set, like the Space Marines uniform or the Solar Marines, the newer Solar Marines uniform, or the old, white spy suits and things like that, or the ninja outfit, the hakama, all those things, they're usually, around $150 or more per set. Now, this looks like it has a lot of pieces and parts to it, especially if, it comes with the shoes, the skirt, the coat, the little, I guess, the petticoat or the cape that's behind it, the gloves. Who knows what's included in this outfit? This is all just, there's no actual outfit prototype even made. These are just mock-ups, that they made virtually. But if I were to pick out of these four, this one here on the upper right is my favorite looking one. I don't know if it's because it's all white with black and gold accents. I think that looks really cool. Versus the white and the black, or this kind of weird blue. That might be a lighting thing, but then here it's white, black, and blue or gray. I kind of think the all white one with the black and the gold and I guess red accents on there looks really cool. So I'm super hyped for this. I like Victorian style like dresses on my dolls. I don't own any, but I've seen them and I've just been unable to purchase those dresses. Like they're either too expensive or they're all sold out. But they're really cool looking. And then the cyberpunk thing, I love cyberpunk. Who doesn't like cyberpunk, right? So now you have a Victorian cyberpunk inspired dress. I'm there, man. This looks cool. I'm really excited. I can't wait to see an actual mock-up prototype. Super hyped for this. Next up, Danny Chu posted this little picture here of his new Lego that he put together. But the reason why I put this picture here, and as most of you have already noticed, in the background on the monitor is C2 or CC, whichever you prefer, from Code Geass. He keeps teasing us with all these Code Geass pictures, man. And we finally have some news on that front, which we'll get into in the next couple slides. But I just thought it was interesting that he posted this, teasing C2 in the background. Super hyped. I know a lot of you are hyped and awaiting C2's arrival. So we have some new news that has been released in the next couple slides. So I thought this picture was just really interesting. Then next up, he's working on some new patterns. This one says a Henley neck shirt, and this one on the left says a yukata. So that means we're getting new yukata styles. Also super super stoked for new yukata styles. I think that's going to be really awesome. I can't wait to see what designs he's going to come up with, or color schemes for these yukatas. They always are really, really cool looking. The Henley shirt is going to be interesting because it looks like here it doesn't have sleeves so far. So, you know, and if I'm not mistaken, I'm not a fashionista by any means. But I think Henley style is just like this, right? Like it's just a circle cut, like a crew neck kind of cut, with like buttons. I think it's only like 2 buttons, right? To open up this part like a little bit, and then that's it. This is apparently a sleeveless version, but then I could be wrong. Who knows? You know, correct me in the comment section down below, because again, I don't really know style very well. I just know what I like. Like I see it and I'm like, that looks cool, I like it. I don't know the actual terminology. So I'm assuming Henley is that though, right? Like it's like a crew cut or crew collar kind of shirt like this, but it just has like 2 buttons on the top. I guess I could be wrong. I don't know. You guys will let me know in the comment section. All right, let's move on. Okay, so here's where we get to some of the depressing stuff. So Danny Chu, I think we mentioned it in prior Doll Symposiums, I think it was in the last episode, that Danny Chu has released a new section on the Smart Doll website called Optional Heads. Now, we have been asking for this. The doll community has been asking, or the Smart Doll community, I shouldn't say the entire doll community, but the Smart Doll community has been asking for basically Danny to release just the heads instead of bodies, because I guess it would be cheaper. You know, you could have a head and just have switch the heads out on the one body you have, so you can have different looks for a doll or whatever. But regardless, people have been asking for heads to be sold separately, or optional heads. Now previously they were only available through Chaos or the Grid, which doesn't come up often and very rarely. But now we have the optional heads, what people have been waiting and asking for. They're finally here, and during its first release, there was already a problem. Apparently, according to what it says on this statement here, he says, I had to take the option heads offline due to newbie hassle. Some have been issuing chargebacks because their preferred head became available after we shipped their order. Moving forward, newbies cannot buy option heads until further notice. So this has been a concern for a long time with Danny Chu and the Smart Doll community. It all started a long time ago with the Chaos outlet. Before the pandemic, when the store was open for everybody to go visit the store, Danny Chu had what he called the Chaos outlet, which I think it was every other Sunday. He would have a special event in his store where you could go in and look at the outlet section of, items that were either defective, never released, had some blemishes, had something wrong with it, or didn't make it into final stages of production, right? And us international buyers who aren't living in Japan or couldn't visit Japan frequently weren't able to participate in this. And a lot of people have been outcrying for, please release Chaos items to the international buyers. And my understanding, okay, this didn't come out of Danny Chu's mouth. I'm just speculating. My understanding is that the reason why he didn't want to do that is for the reasons that he stated for the original Chaos outlets, is the fact that they have blemishes. They have defects in them. They're not finalized products. Some of them are prototypes. Some of them have parts missing. You know, there's a lot of issues with them. They're not a perfect final product. So that's why he only had it in Japan, I'm assuming, because the buyer can actually see it in person, you know, inspect the item and decide whether or not they actually want to proceed and purchase this item. Well, if you're living overseas like myself and you're not in Japan, you can't inspect the item. All you can go off of is the item says this is the part, it has a defect here, or it has problems here, or it's just not, you know, it's not final product ready. You may not like it, you may have concerns, etc., etc. So he didn't want to do that, because what if somebody orders something from Chaos from another country, they get it and they're like, oh, this finger or this hand is missing a finger, and then or this thigh piece has like a blemish or a scratch or a scar, or this shoe has too many scratches in the leather, or it's missing the sole, or something like that. I don't know. I'm just making up random things, right? So then what would happen is that customer, obviously, they're like, I didn't want this. I didn't know it was going to be that broken or that disheveled or whatever the reason may be. And then they try to return it, or they try to complain or send a bad review, or do what Danny Chu said here, issuing chargebacks, even though they have the item already and now they're demanding their money back. So it's a problem, right? So he first initiated Chaos Online is to existing buyers only. It wasn't available for first-time buyers. And then at some point, it became regular for just anybody to buy Chaos items, I guess, or Chaos bundles. And then I guess the same thing happened. You know, people were charging back or complaining that the product was defective or whatever. I don't know. I don't work for SmartDoll, so I don't know what the complaints actually were. But all I'm saying is that people complained. And that seemed to have been a concern for Danny Chu before he even started doing Chaos. So now, again, the complaining is happening again, where, you know, people went to go get option heads. And I don't know the reason of the complaints. I have no idea what they were. Okay, so Danny Chu didn't tell me anything. This is all my own personal speculation based upon what he is telling us. So he is saying that some people were complaining, some people were issuing chargebacks because their preferred head became available after they shipped, because he did launch it in 2 separate shipments. He did a first release of these option heads, which had a bunch of different heads, and then I think it was like 2 hours later or 3 hours later, he made a second release of more heads. Because I remember what happened. Because he has like some kind of program that detects whether or not you're a bot or a scalper or something like that. I don't know what it is. But, you know, he has some program that detects it, and then those orders get canceled, right? So after 2 hours or 3 hours after the initial release, I guess he had a bunch of cancellations, you know, and everybody always posts in the comment section, darn, I missed out on this. Oh, it sold out so fast, I couldn't get one. I mean, you guys have read the comments in this thing, right? There's a lot of people complaining that they weren't fast enough to get the head that they wanted. So I guess, you know, instead of waiting like another week or whatever, for whatever reason, Danny Chu decided to release it like a couple hours later. I mean, which is fine. To me, I don't see a problem with that. I mean, he announced it, he tweeted it, I'm releasing a second set of heads, so it's not like it was a surprise. So apparently, I guess some individuals, me deciphering what he wrote here, some have been issuing chargebacks because their preferred head became available after we shipped their order. So I guess they settled for a head because their preferred head was sold out, and then now, after doing the program of detecting bots or whatever, he put the head that they actually wanted on the website, so then they canceled their original order after it's already sent out, and then purchased another one, and I guess it created a hassle or a problem or whatever. But that's just my interpretation of the situation. Again, I don't work for SmartDoll. Danichu doesn't tell me any information on the inner workings of what's going on there. All I can do is just analyze what he posted and try to figure out, you know, what he means by it. I mean, it seems pretty self-explanatory, but that's just my take on it. So moving forward, newbies cannot buy option heads until further notice. So unfortunately, if you're new to the start, if you've been a lurker for a long time and you've been on the fence on whether or not to buy Smart Doll, well, now I guess you're going to have to buy, you know, something from Smart Doll, you know, a doll or clothes. I don't know, whatever it is that the requirement is. I don't know what exactly the requirement is in order to purchase from Smart Doll in this whole chaos thing or this new option heads. But according to Danichu, moving forward, newbies cannot buy option heads until further notice. And you know what? That's his company. He can do whatever he wants. Personally, I don't see an issue with that, because if I was the owner of the company and people kept doing chargebacks, I think I would get annoyed too, because I think that as a company, if something is charged back, there's also a fee, right? Like as the company, because in order to do credit card purchases, you have to use, you know, a credit card system. You have to have a tax ID and all that other stuff. And you have to pay a fee to the issuing credit card company, right? So if there's a chargeback, I wonder if you don't get your money back for that initial fee that was incurred. Like you just lose that, like you just eat the cost, I guess. So if there's a bunch of chargebacks coming back, then you're eating a bunch of costs that you can't get reimbursed for. This is my assumption. I really don't know. But I mean, I guess I can see it being annoying if that's the case. So, you know, it is what it is. But that's not the most depressing part, even though it kind of seemed that way. So next up, in that same post, he listed, not that same post, but a post like a couple days later, which is basically today, he posted a new post that there's going to be new heads going on the option heads. So the optional heads site or page is going to come back up soon, and some of the new heads are these ones that you see here. Now, he mentioned that some of the new heads, which is 3 out of the 4, it's Wonder, Power, May, and Perseverance. 3 of the 4 heads are actually intended prototypes for a collaboration girl. So obviously we already know about Perseverance. She's a regular, well, not a regular, but she was an originally created character from Smart Doll. So that means that the next 3 were licensed girls or prototype for licensed girls. Now, he didn't say, I don't think he said exactly, right? Like, let me just check my notes real quick. I don't think he said exactly. No, I don't think he said exactly. If he did, he did, but I don't think he did. Generally, these girls are prototypes for collaborations that either didn't make the cut or are no longer happening. I don't know. I don't know for sure. I really don't. Let me see if I can look it up real quick, because I don't want to give you guys like false information, right? So let me see. I know it's somewhere here. Here. So it says Wonder, Power, and May were licensed product candidates. So they were licensed product candidates. My interpretation of that is that those licensed characters are no longer happening. Or these are just basically the candidates. Like, you know, how Mirai, when you go to the prototype garage, like Mirai or Chitose has like a prototype, and then they were like, nah, we're not going to do it, so we'll set it on prototype. So this might be it. Here's my take. So Wonder, I'm thinking was Wonder Woman. I'm thinking this is a Wonder Woman candidate that just didn't fit the cut. Now, whether or not he's still going to go forward with doing Wonder Woman, I don't know. But all I know is that this version of Wonder Woman, which I'm assuming is Wonder Woman because it's called Wonder, is not going to be in the final production or not made at all. I don't know how to interpret it. I don't know what the best way to interpret it is. That's just my take. Now, Power here on the right, My assumption is that this is a Power Girl prototype. So for those of you that are not familiar with DC Comics, Supergirl, right, is Kal-El's or Superman's cousin, right? In an alternate universe, Supergirl is actually Power Girl, which looks different. She has a very different look to her. But for those of you that are DC Comics connoisseurs and experts, correct me if I'm wrong, I believe Supergirl is an alternate version of, or Power Girl is an alternate version of Supergirl in one of the worlds, like Earth 92 or something like that. I don't remember the numbers. But essentially that's what it is. And he has tweeted out long ago of, Power Girl prototype, like clothing and stuff like that. So we had hints that he was going to do a Power Girl. So since this one's named Power, I'm assuming this was a candidate for Power Girl. And then the next one here, which is May, I have no idea who May is. I can't tell who it is. I don't think May was a DC Comics licensed character. The name is not so obvious, like Wonder and Power. It wasn't so obvious. So May be an anime collaboration that didn't go through. Or it's still going through, and this is just a version that he's not going to be using in the final product. I know that he mentioned before in prior posts that he is working on new anime collaborations that he just hasn't announced yet and is not ready to announce yet. So I don't know if May is from that, because the only anime collaboration that we know of that hasn't been released yet is Naruto and CC. I don't know if there are others that he talked about that's not coming out yet. I think that's just Naruto and CC is the only ones they're still waiting for that we knew was going to happen. So May is neither of those. I'm not really sure what May is from or what anime collaboration. I mean, she could be a DC Comics collaboration, but I just don't know. I can't tell from May. But basically, Power, Wonder, and May are going to be on the new optional heads list or site when it goes back up and online. Now remember, if you're a new customer, you won't be able to get your hands on May, Power, or Wonder. You have to be an existing customer. And I'm assuming the way he can tell is by your account, basically. Like if you have saved information. Like, so if your name was John Smith from Alberta, Canada, when you order something under John Smith, your credit card says John Smith, your address says John Smith, Alberta, Canada, whatever, he's going to know, that you ordered there before. I don't know. Or he has your credit card number saved. I don't know. Either way, he has some way, somehow of knowing that you are a pre-existing purchaser or a new purchaser. Now, in this same post, hold on. Let me get a drink because my throat is getting crazy. In this same post, he has mentioned some very interesting things. First off, he has mentioned that Smart Doll body production is expected to reach healthy levels by November 2022. Now remember, the reason why he started optional heads is not only because people have been asking for it, but because they have more heads than they have bodies to go with them. It takes much longer and more time to make the bodies than the heads, apparently. So he always has an influx of heads and not enough bodies for them. So he says, Smart Doll body production is expected to reach healthy levels by November 2022. We will focus on getting the frontline girls out of cryo sleep and hope to start selling option bodies by January 2023. Folks who bought option heads will be given first dibs to get their hands on the option bodies. So, this is my interpretation of what this means. Basically, he believes that by November of 2022, he will be caught up in getting enough bodies for all the heads that he has accumulating in the store so they can be released as one product instead of the, optional heads. I don't think that means that he's getting rid of optional heads altogether. I just think that he's just saying he's getting caught up. Now, apparently, by January of 2023, we supposedly will finally be able to just buy the bodies separate without the head or anything. It's just the bodies, which is great for people like myself and other people that have floating heads when they bought it from either the grid, from Chaos Outlet, from these optional heads where you just have all these heads and you have no bodies for them, right? Like, I have that problem. I know a lot of people have a lot of floating head problems. So if what he's saying is true and that by January 2023 he'll finally be caught up with production-wise, that'll be awesome, because I am in need of a cinnamon body, a tea body. Oh, God forbid if I can get my hands on an interstellar blue body, that would be amazing. That would be really awesome. And the cool thing is that he's giving priority to people who bought option heads before, which to me makes sense, because if you've never bought an option head before, why are you buying a base body then? Right? Like, your dolls have a head and a body. Now, I do know there's certain circumstances. Like, let's say you have a tan girl, right? Let's say you have Athena, but you put on black clothes and you stained her body, and no matter how hard you tried to get the stains out, you can't get the stains out. It's just stuck on the body, right? Okay, I get it. But you still have a body at least, right? Like, you have a head that can go on a body and just put on jeans and like long sleeve shirt. Nobody can see the stains, right? At least you still have a body. But for individuals like myself that only bought the option heads with no bodies, we just have heads lying around, right? Like, I have 3 heads lying around with no bodies. They're just kind of hanging there, and I really want to give them a body, but I just don't have any bodies for them. So I think it makes sense that to allow people that only have the option heads from either the grid or the option head site to be able to get first dibs on the bodies. That's just my take on it. I know there's going to be a lot of people that are mad that I said that, because they're like, oh, it should be available for everybody. You know, in a perfect world, I guess so. You know, it should be available for every single person that wants it. But you got to remember, Danny Chu's team is only a team of less than 20. I think it's even 15 people at most. And not all of those 15 people make the bodies. Some people are social media only. Some people are editors only. Some people are CAD designer only. Some people only do the outfits. So when you really break it down, there could be only like 2 people making bodies, or 3 people making bodies for all of us all over the world. So, you know, that's when you got to think, like, in a perfect world, if he had some kind of machine to just, or if he had like 100 people working for him, you know, he could make enough supply to meet all that demand. But because he has a small team and he prefers to run a small team, which makes sense. Like, the smaller your team, right, the easier to manage your team. And the more like a family business it feels like you can really interact with your coworkers and really have a good time with them and know how each other works. You know what I mean? I don't think Danny wants to be a Fortune 500 company like Microsoft, where he's sitting at the top and then he has, you know, a board of directors, and then he has regional managers and district managers and then employees and then warehouse managers and all. I don't think he has plans to do that, nor does he want to do that. I think his plan, my assumption is his plan is to keep Smart Doll a small family business. I think that's his plan. That's my assumption. And when you have a small family business, you can't produce the same amount of numbers or the same quantity of things as you could a Fortune 500 company, you know, such as Microsoft or, you know, or Ford or anything like that. Those are big companies with factories everywhere. Even the biggest company, like in the doll community, I would have to, if I had to guess, I would say Volks is probably the biggest company when it comes to Asian ball dolls from Japan. Let's limit it to just Japan, right? So it's between like Smart Doll, Volks, Obitsu, you know, and all the other companies, you know, like Parabox or whatever, all those companies from Japan. I think if you just limit it to that scope, just Japan only, I think Volks is considered the biggest company, right? With the most employees and the most warehouses and stores. That's my assumption, right? And Danny Chu is just one building, not even a building, 2 floors, or now I think 3 floors. I think he got a 3rd floor of a building, right? With like a staff of less than 20, I'm assuming. So, you know, you can't compete with a company like Volks that has multiple branches and multiple warehouses and stuff, at least on a quantity scale. Like they can't produce as many because they just don't have enough workers. So it makes sense that the optional heads will be available to the optional bodies will be available to individuals that purchased optional heads. And then after that, I guess it'll be, he'll probably do a second release or a third release or whatever it may be for just anybody to purchase optional bodies. That's my assumption. I could be wrong. You know what I mean? I'm not a mind reader. I don't work for Danny Chu. He doesn't, despite what some of you may believe, he does not tell me everything under the sun about his company. He barely tells me anything, really, like, unless I ask. And even then, it's his company. It's up to his discretion to, fill me in on anything. And, to be honest, I don't abuse that relationship that I have with him. I barely ask him anything, unless it's something really, really important, like I want to interview him, or if he's coming to a certain convention, if he needs my assistance, things like that. Like I don't really bother him, really too much as some people might believe I have some kind of insider knowledge. I really don't. Like, most of the stuff I say is just basically reading off from his tweets or my own speculation of what I think he's trying to tell us. So I really don't know, but that's just my assumption. Now here's the cool news, right? The next part. He posted in that same post, CC and Naruto are production ready, but they need to wait until we can catch up with body production. This leads me to believe that CC and Naruto, heads, wigs, and clothings are all done, whatever quantity that may be. So let's say he's only going to make, 500 CCs and 500 Narutos, right? Or 1,000 CCs and 1,000 Narutos, or 2 CCs and 2 Narutos. Whatever the max production, he's already finished. All the heads. For the sake of this example, let's say there's only going to be 100, so it's easier to just do the math, right? He's only going to have 100 CCs and 100 Narutos total. That means he has 100 outfits, 100 wigs, and 100 heads, bringing a total of 200, right? For both of them, CC and Naruto combined. 200 heads, outfits, and wigs ready to go. He just doesn't have 200 bodies to attach them to. So once he has built 200 bodies to attach them to, I'm assuming that's when CC and Naruto is going to be released. And we're going to hear about the release, and then it's going to be a huge click war, because people waiting for CC have been waiting for years, like 4 years now for CC. And for Naruto, I think it's like 2 years, right? I think people have been waiting 2 years for Naruto. So when they are finally announced, if you think getting option heads and prototype garage girls are hard because people are just ninja sniping, in the click war, there's going to be a huge amount of people going for CC and Naruto. Huge amount of people. It's going to be, what was it? I think Relentless? Wasn't it Relentless that sold out in 30 seconds or something like that? Something crazy like that? That's really fast. So this is going to be one crazy release, man, when this finally comes out. Hopefully, we won't have CC and Naruto launched at the same time. Maybe they'll be like a couple days apart or a couple weeks apart to give people a chance to breathe. Because if you want both CC and Naruto, chances are if they release at the same exact time, you're only going to get one of them, if anything. So we'll see. We'll just have to wait and see how Danny Chu's going to do his release schedule for CC and Naruto. But I think this is definitely the step in the right direction. We're finally getting more news on CC and Naruto coming out, and we're almost at the light at the end of the tunnel. All that's left is the bodies. We're just waiting for body production to catch up to be released. I'm super excited. Good luck to everybody trying to get their hands on a CC and Naruto. I really wish you all the best of luck, because I know all of you out there that really, really want one. Unfortunately, not all of you are going to be able to get one because, again, they're limited in quantity. And that's just the name of the game. It's just unfortunate. And you can't blame Danny Chu for that, because all companies are like that. Volks is like that. Azone is like that. You know what I mean? Like, they only make a limited quantities of their collaboration dolls. It's not just Smart Doll. It's every doll company does it. And because it's a licensing agreement, the original IP or the owners of that intellectual product, okay, has put a cap on how many he can sell. So take it up with the IP owners. Now, it comes the next part, which is even more sensitive and depressing, which is this. So Danny Chu has posted this picture here on the left of a new commander-style uniform for the Solar Marines. And apparently, this has offended a lot of people. Personally, it didn't offend me, but I'm a different person than you. I come from a different background. I have been exposed to different things in my life than you have. We all have different experiences in life, but we all have empathy too. We can empathize. Even though we didn't experience something, we can empathize with somebody that has, right? We can understand where they came from, or what their reasoning may be. So I'm not going to reiterate what has already been said about this, because it has been non-stop battle online. A non-stop battle of individuals on one side of the fence that's defending Danny Chu and his post, and then there's individuals on the other side of the fence that are angry with Danny Chu and you know, are pretty much very upset at him. So there's the two sides. And for the past couple of days, both sides have been at war with each other, like really bad. This hasn't been this bad since the Smart Doll Lovers group broke up on Facebook over a different situation. I don't know what to say. You know, I really don't. Like, I can understand both sides and I can empathize with both sides. Like, there are individuals that say it's very offensive because it brings out, it reminds people of certain things that happened in the past that were not good. Pick the terminology that you want to use. I don't personally know all the terminology and all the terms that may be included or referenced with this discussion, but some of them may include Nazism, anti-Semitism, you know, just overall insensitivity, I guess, for certain cultures, certain individuals, and things of that nature. Okay, so that's one side of the argument that's very displeased with this situation. And then there's the other side of the argument that are like, because that one side was the anti-Danny Chu, basically. They're very upset with him. And then the other side is the individuals, which I guess kind of includes myself, that didn't find this post to be offensive. At least not at first. I didn't find it to be offensive. And quite frankly, I just don't know what to make of it, to be honest. I understand and I empathize with the individuals that are angry with Danny Chu. I understand where they're coming from, because apparently this doll's outfit, the commander outfit, has a red armband, okay? And the red armband, a lot of people are very upset about, because it reminds them of, for lack of the better words, Nazism or something like that, like the military uniform. Now, if I'm missing some terminology, please forgive me. I do not know all the proper things that go into this type of a discussion. It's a very difficult discussion to have, because I'm not here to offend anybody. My intention is not to offend anybody. But it is something that really depresses me, because this situation, regardless of what side you're on, if you're pro Danny or you're against Danny, to me, it doesn't matter what side you're on in regards to what I'm going to say next. I feel like the thing that has depressed me the most and has hurt me the most is just seeing friends, I mean legitimate friends. Now, maybe these people haven't met on in person and only know each other online, but I've been noticing friends, individuals in the doll community that once liked each other, now at each other's throats. And to me, that's really depressing. It really is. It's destroying the doll community, regardless of what side you're on. The people on pro-Danny side and the people that on the anti-Danny side are literally ripping each other's throats out in the comment section, in forums, in Facebook's groups. A lot of people are saying mean things to each other on both sides. You know, a lot of people are participating in cancel culture. A lot of people are unfriending each other, unsubbing from people's YouTubes. Like, there is like legit hate going on. And it's really, really depressing. Like, I want to cry right now. Like, it's just... Even me, personal friends that I have made through connections, going to conventions, talking in panels, meeting people at Anime NYC, just talking online in Facebook forums, Facebook groups, doll forums, like Twitter, like... People are unfriending and bashing each other left and right. And I understand that this is a sensitive situation, and I understand people need to talk about it. But it's just so depressing seeing former friends and a community that I hold dear, a community that I believed is the most welcoming, most heartfelt community and the most accepting community I have ever been a part of. I have never once met somebody that was genuinely mean to me in this community. Now, there are some times where we have a difference of opinions, and I respect those opinions. Like, if somebody didn't like a certain thing because of X, Y, and Z reasons, I see their point of view. It doesn't mean I have to agree with them, but I understand where they're coming from, and I understand why they choose to do the things that they do, and that's fine. I can accept that because everybody is different. Everybody has a different upbringing, a different value system, a different beliefs, different things that offend them. I get that, and I'm all for having a discussion regarding it, talking things over, and being like, hey, you know, I don't like this, I don't appreciate this, you know, that it's just offensive to me, so I, you know, will no longer be participating or doing this. You know, a healthy discussion. And then somebody on the other side saying, okay, well, I don't agree with you, but I understand where you're coming from, and that's fine. If you don't like this, you don't have to be a part of it, you know, and we get that you are not comfortable with this. You know, we're not, you know, don't bash the other person and throw derogatory things towards each other for having a difference of opinion. I shouldn't say don't, but I beg you to try to think of another way to express your feelings without having to be mean to each other, for lack of a better word. Like I said, regardless of what side of the fence you are on in this conversation, whether you're pro-Danny or, you know, anti-Danny, I've seen it on both sides of the fence of people just going at each other's throats. And it's really depressing. It's really depressing. Now you could say, oh, well, regardless of what side you're on, Danny's Choose post started it, and that's, you know, how it is. Fine. You want to say that? Fine. His post is the one that started it. It started the whole conversation. Now, depending on what side you're on, let's have a cordial discussion with each other, okay? It's just heartbreaking. Like, I'm literally witnessing a community destroy itself. Now, I know this really only speaks to the Smart Doll community because they're the ones that are affected the most, but it doesn't mean that people from Azone community or Dolphy Dream community don't watch and see what's happening. Like, those individuals that are all part of the doll community, whether they're resin dolls, Ipple House dolls, Granado dolls, Obisu, Parabox, like all the companies out there and their fans are all seeing this unfold. And, you know, they're either also participating in it, in the comment section or the groups, they could very well be not smart doll owners, but are genuinely offended or not offended by this and I'm participating into the conversation. But for the smart doll community in general, like the ones that it affects the most, the people, I guess, that are in the smart doll community, I suppose. I mean, watching or witnessing that community really tear each other apart, it's depressing, and it makes me really sad, because I used to take really, really great pride in being a part of this community. And whether or not Danny Chu started it is irrelevant at this point. We, the members of the community, are the ones prolonging it. Like we are the ones that are continuing the conversation. We are the ones that are continually bashing each other. Like, we need to stop this somehow, or at least have a more healthier discussion. Like, it's just really, really upsetting and really depressing. And like, I have some examples that I would like to share with you all. So I expressed my understanding of what the anti-Danny side is saying. They're saying that it is insensitive, it's demeaning, it's anti-Semitism, it's giving off a bad taste in their mouth, it's showing things that are not culturally appropriate or acceptable and offensive. And some of those things to note are one of them being the red armband, and one of them being this particular pose that's here. So Danny Chu did post a public apology, which is this picture on the right. He's trying to describe, why, I guess, he did the things he did, or does the things he does. And some people, I guess, have accepted that apology, and some people are even more enraged by it. Or at least that's my understanding of what's going on. There's some people that are even more enraged after his apology, because they think it's throwing more fuel on the fire, so to speak, I guess. But I personally can understand where he's coming from. What he's saying is because I understand, I guess, the significance or the cultural background that he's trying to project, or what I assume he's trying to project. So let me just go to this picture here. So the pose, right? This is the pose that people are getting very upset, because it gives out that, for lack of the better word, that Nazi kind of like imagery or vibe, right? Like the Hail Hitler thing or whatever. It feels so awkward saying it, but it's just, that's what people or individuals are claiming is just one of many things with the picture that they got offended by. And the thing is that this pose, yes, they are 100% correct. It does kind of look just like the pose that they did in those times, the offensive pose. It does look like that. I can't deny that. But it also is a very popular pose that's widely used in Japan. Like, especially in anime. Like, you won't see it on live television. Like, it won't be on the news. It's not in movies, as far as I know, or Japanese dramas. It's particularly only in manga and anime. And it's kind of like this pose, like a victory pose, or let's go to battle. Like, I think, what is it called? It's hanshin or hashin. Whatever it means to, like, go to battle, or let's go. Like, I choose you, Pokemon. Like, even Pokemon Go has this pose. I think this pose is when you become level 50 in Pokemon Go. It has this pose, right? Code Geass's Lelouch does this pose in the anime, like, several times. And Lelouch was released by Smart Doll. And it was the only anime collaborated doll that was released 3 separate times, had 3 re-releases. It was that popular of a doll. Now, I understand what people are saying, the ones that are offended. they're like, well, it's not just the pose alone, right? It's the pose, it's the color scheme, it's the armband, it's what he said in the post. Like, I've seen people arguing that point, that it's not one thing, it's a combination of things. And I understand what they're saying, and I understand where they're coming from. I can sympathize with what they're saying. That makes sense to me. Like, the combination of all the things put together, I can see how that would be offensive to some individuals, if not all individuals, whatever you want to believe. I'm pretty sure it's not all individuals, because that's why we have a pro-Danny side and an anti-Danny side. But I understand the side that's anti-Danny. I understand what they're saying and where they're coming from, that all those things combined creates a bad taste in their mouth, so to speak. I get that. I understand where they're saying. But also, for the pro-Danny side, because I'm leaning more towards that side, if you really want to pick a side. So unfriend me, unsubscribe from me now if that already, me saying that, offends you. But I'm just saying, I'm looking at both sides of the argument, and I understand that side. Now, the other side of the argument, the pro-Danny side of the argument, I understand where he's coming from on his side, because this is a widely used pose in anime. So if you're a huge fan of anime and you watch a lot of it, this pose is highly recognizable in so many different shows. So many shows. It's countless numbers of shows use this pose. So that's one thing, right? So maybe Danny Chu chose that pose because that's what he was going for. It's usually done by a commander of a group or a chief of a group, saying like, let's do battle kind of thing. Like, for whatever it is, like a baseball team, let's go win this game. And they point out and they go, let's go win this game. Or, something like a debate team, let's go win this debate. And they're like, they hold their hand up in front of them and they're like, let's go and do this, ganbate. Or like, when you're watching Naruto or ninjas, they're like, go my ninjas, protect the village, or something like that. Like the pose is used in so much anime. I can understand why he did that, because in the picture, it's depicting not a Solar Marine, but a Solar Marine commander. And usually the leader of the group is usually the one in anime shows that would use that pose. So that's one thing of the aspect. Now, I said there's multiple aspects. So then the next aspect is the red armband. The red armband really offended a lot of people. But the red armband is used in countless anime as well to depict the leader of a group. Haruhi Suzumiya, I think, is the most recognizable anime character that used the armband. Because she was one of the first ones to use it. Like, I don't want to say the very first one. I'm sure somewhere in the anime archives that I have not personally watched, there is somebody else that used it. But to me, when I think the red armband, I don't think Nazism first. That's not the first thing. I always think Haruhi Suzumiya. For whatever reason, maybe because it's one of the animes I saw as a child, not like a young child. I was in high school at the time, but it was one of the things I saw when I was younger. So when I think red armband, I always think Haruhi Suzumiya. And because of watching Haruhi Suzumiya, I found out and I came to know that it symbolizes the leader of a group. So if you're the leader of your club, in that show is a club activity, the leader wore a red armband. The leader in a baseball club will have the red armband. Kakashi over here is one of the leaders of the ninja squads in Naruto. He has a red armband. One or a couple people from Attack on Titan have a red armband. Persona 3, the video game, the leader of the group has a red armband. There's so much anime that has the red armband. So if you look at it that way, right, from Danny Chu's eyes and from the cultural aspect of Japanese society when it comes to anime, and Danny Chu's background being heavily influenced by anime, like the whole reason why Danny Chu's doing what he did now is because he fell in love as a child with anime in the UK, and then he did all he did to personally learn self-taught Japanese. then moved to Japan because of his love of anime, worked with Good Smile Company in all these places, all affiliated with anime, did all these TV shows with anime, you know, and then created his own anime-inspired character and his own doll company. Everything is about Danny Chu is heavily influenced in Japanese culture and anime. So it's no surprise to me that when he created his own cast of characters, his own story of the Solar Marines and Mirai Millennium, that the group leader, which is Mirai, and then in this picture, the commander uniform of the Solar Marines, putting all that together of the anime history and Japan's culture with anime, it does make sense that the commander unit or the commander officer would have a military uniform, because it's the Solar Marines, that they would have a red armband to signify that they are the commander of the group, you know, and that they would be doing the let's go get 'em pose, like gambate, like let's go to battle, let's win this fight, you know. It just makes sense to me from that aspect, coming from an anime background. That's how I got into the doll hobby. It was purely through an anime-influenced background. Like, I heavily am involved in anime. Like, I love everything about anime. I watch it all the time. I used to collect so many things anime. Now it's all dolls that I collect. But, you know, to me, when I saw that picture, I was just like, cool. It's like an anime leader of a group. It's the first thing I thought when I saw it. I thought it's a Haruhi Suzumiya inspired outfit. Like, that's what I thought when I saw it. And then came the comment section of the people that were offended by it. And I understood why they were offended. I can understand where they're coming from after they explained their side of the situation. I understand where they're coming from about being offended. What I don't understand and what depresses me is how this same group of loving and most accepting people that I have ever met in the doll community can now viciously attack each other instead of just trying to understand each other and you know, get along with each other somehow. It's just very depressing to me. And I apologize if you guys are offended by anything that I have said here. My intentions is not to offend anybody, but merely to just try to analyze and understand both parties' sides and both parties' point of view. And hopefully maybe you learned something? I don't know. I really don't know what I'm trying to get out of this, to be honest. But I felt like it was something that I needed to talk about. And maybe it's something that should have been a topic for Beyond the Doll and not the Doll Symposium, because it's a news outlet, really, for the Doll Symposium. But it was made. The initial idea was that the Doll Symposium was supposed to be a forum for where we can discuss our likes or dislikes of the community. But it ended up just being mostly a news feed, and then everybody commenting in the comment section down below of what they agree with, what they're looking forward to, or any questions that they've seen in the newsfeed. But I don't know, man. I'm just really heartbroken. And I'm heartbroken to just see the community that I love attacking each other pretty ruthlessly. And I don't mean everybody is being brutal. You know, there are some individuals that have seen both sides and come to terms with what's happening. And there's some individuals that have seen both sides and can empathize, but still remain on, you know, their particular side that they're defending. What I'm really talking about is the individuals that are really being harsh to each other, really mean to each other. Like, some of the things that I've seen, I've read, and pictures I've seen, it's just really... it's distasteful. You know? It's just upsetting to see my doll family You know, even though we personally have never met in person, we don't talk on a regular basis other than just you watching my YouTube channel and occasionally commenting in the comment section below. I consider all of you that watch my channel, you know, part of my doll family. And all of you that I've met, like, in person, at conventions, at events, or what have you, I consider you all part of my doll family, because that's how we got together in the first place. We all had a mutual love for this hobby and these beautiful, lovely ladies and guy dolls that are out there. And like I said, like, pretty much everybody I have met have been the most loving, understanding, and heartfelt people I've ever met. And to see those individuals going at each other now is just really depressing. And some of those individuals are actual friends of mine, like close friends of mine that I at least consider a close friend. I don't know if maybe they consider me a close friend back, but some of those individuals that have been saying some mean things back and forth to each other, like, I know those people. And it's really depressing to see the community that I love falling apart over this unfortunate posting. You know, could it have been done differently? Sure. I guess it could have been done differently. I mean, did he have to use the red armband? No, he didn't have to use the red armband. Did he have to use that particular pose? No, he didn't have to use that particular pose. But was that armband and that particular pose heavily influenced by his love of the Japanese and anime culture that he had come to love, living on the other side of the world in the UK, and uprooted his life and traveled all the way to the other side of the world to live a life and a business in that culture that he has come to love? And now he's creating products filled with that love of that culture. I mean, I can't really fault him for that, you know? But I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm being highly insensitive right now. Like I said, if at the end of the day, after watching this video and actually listening to what I have to say, you know, from start to finish, and you totally disagree with me, that's fine. I mean, you don't have to agree with me. That's the beauty about, you know, being an individual. You know, you have your own likes, your own dislikes. You don't have to like what I say, and you don't have to agree with me. But I would beg to at least, you know, let's try to see each other halfway and try to understand each other. We don't have to agree with each other, but at least let's try to understand each other and where we're coming from, and try to have a productive conversation rather than just outright, like, attacking each other. I don't know. That's all I have to say. I spent like a little over a half an hour talking about this topic, which is really just making me very sad and just very depressing right now. Yeah. Let's just move on. I don't know why I put this picture in the slide, other than the fact that it's really, really funny. I love this picture. There is no submission of the community shout out this week, which is fine. But if you want to participate in the community shout out, just please send an email to dlwshizusan@gmail.com. Make sure it has a picture of your doll that you would like to share with us, or dolls. It could be multiple pictures. It could be a group picture of dolls. It could be just one doll. Just make sure to submit it to this email. Make sure to put down what the base doll is, just in case you modified the doll or cosplayed the doll, so that we know what you started with, so that people can get an understanding of how, you know, you can actually customize the doll to look one way and then look another way. If you want to leave a message that I can read out to the community, just make sure you put a message in there. If you want to leave a personal message just for me, that's fine as well too. just make sure you specify in your email what information you want me to share out there to the world and the public, and what information is private and just for me. So this way I don't accidentally say anything, you know, over the World Wide Web that you did not want to be broadcast over the World Wide Web. You know, leave your information in there if you want to be found. For example, like if you want me to advertise your Etsy page, your website, your store, your Instagram, your YouTube page, whatever it is. If you want me to advertise that for you, put that in the email. I will definitely put it on the Doll Symposium to advertise for you. And that's really it, really, if you want to participate in the community shout out. I'm sorry if I just am not really feeling it right now. Like in the beginning of the video, I was, you know, a little bit more happier, but this topic is just left me really depressed, really. I'm not angry at anybody because, like I said, I understand both sides of the argument and I empathize with both sides. I'm just really upset and just depressed at what's happening to my beloved doll family, basically. But yeah, I mean, that's really it for today's episode. I really do hope that you found it informational, at least for the news part, and enjoyed and are able to use that knowledge for your future doll purchases or anything that you're looking forward to. I really hope that it just helped you in that regards. And then, you know, the whole depressing topic of what's going on in the doll community right now is, I'm sorry. That's all I can say. I didn't want to post it really too much on any kind of forums or groups because this is my channel, my YouTube channel. This is my outlet for my whatever I want to say regarding the doll community. So I kind of saved everything for this conversation. I may bring this up again in Beyond the Doll because I think it's a good topic to really address regarding the doll community. I know it's going to be a highly contested topic and people are not going to like what comes out of it, but we really do need to make amends with each other, and we really do need to understand where each other is coming from instead of, like, you know, tearing each other down. At least that's just my opinion. At the end of the day, people will do what they want to do and what they believe is right. And who am I to tell them it's not right, or who am I to stand in their way? The only thing I can really do is just share my opinion, and whether you agree with me or not, whether you like me or hate me, it's just my opinion on the situation, and I'm just really depressed by it. But that's it for today's episode 30 of the Doll Symposium. I really wish I could leave it off on a much more happier note, other than beautiful Kano is here, so if you want to change it back, there we go. For just me and Kano. You know, my beautiful new Azone doll. I really do love her. She is so cute. Thank you everybody for watching today's episode 30 of the Doll Symposium. Please give this video a like if you actually liked it. You know, subscribe to me if you want to see more of my content. It definitely helps me and my channel out if you subscribe and like. If you feel that this episode, for whatever reason, you want to share it with your friends or family or whomever you want to share it with, even if you want to share it with people just to, like, basically roast me for what I said, go ahead and share it. Because I think, you know, whether or not people want to hear what I have to say, if you feel like other people need to hear it, then share it. Whether it's a good reason behind it or a bad reason. Thank you everybody for watching. And we'll see you guys next week on Beyond the Doll. We have a guest speaker talking about face-ups. But if not, we'll see you in episode 31 2 weeks from now on a Friday. The Doll Symposium episode 31. But thank you everybody. I'm your host, Shizusan. And my beautiful little lovely lady here is Kano. And we'll see you guys in the next one.
This is our time, this is our life. Sometimes all you need is a smile to get by.